Hey, Chloe. I'm studying pretty hard for this neurophysiology test, and I just can't seem to figure out what an amplifier is. Do you think you could help me out?
I'd be happy to. So an amplifier is basically an electronic device that increases the amplitude of an input signal.
Okay, cool. Do you think you could give me an example of an amplifier?
Yeah, I could give you an example, but it's better to show you.
All right, let's go.
Okay. So this speaker is one example of an amplifier. Before I plug in my phone, we're going to listen to the song.
Okay. So, I think this phone is doing a good job of emitting sound, but it could probably be louder, right?
It definitely can be. So now I'm going to plug this in the amplifier and we're going to see what happens.
Okay.
When I was 6 years old, I broke my leg. I was running from my brother.
That was really loud.
Yeah, so what do you think is happening here?
So I think based on what you were telling me earlier, the input from your phone is getting amplified to create a larger sound when it's going through the amplifier. So when we heard that on the phone by itself, it was a pretty quiet sound. And then using the amplifier, we were able to create a much larger sound.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So now let's go and see a different kind of amplifier.
Awesome. Let's go.
Oh, Connor, there's Bella now. Let's go talk to her and see if we can borrow her amplifier.
Sounds good.
Hey, Bella.
Hey guys, what's up?
So I'm just teaching Connor here about what an amplifier is, and I was wondering if we could go and talk about the amplifier that's in your car.
Oh yeah, I'm headed there now. Let's go.
Go.
Okay, so this is another example of an amplifier, the car stereo. And so you can amplify sound and music through the aux cord just like you can with the stereo.
Okay.
And then you can also amplify radio waves, and that's what the antenna's for.
Cool. So do you think we could give it a listen?
Yeah, absolutely. So you just turn up the volume.
This is never easy, Sugar, but your position here has been made
That's really cool.
redundant. What? Well, who's gonna replace me? Oh.
See?
Awesome. So thank you both so much for showing me real life examples of amplifiers. Now I know in class Dr. Rhodes talked to us about EEGs. Do you guys think that that might be another example of an amplifier?
Yeah, absolutely. And she actually gave us an EEG to use, so we can go take a look at that right now and examine it.
Awesome. Let's go.
Okay.
So here's another example of a biological amplifier. It's called an EEG, and this kind's the melon.
Okay.
And so what it is it's a headband that you put on your head, and there are little electrodes that attach to your skin, and it takes the signals that are going through your brain and it measures it.
Okay.
So if you want to put it on, we can just see
Okay.
how it works.
Cool.
And then kind of get an idea of what an EEG actually looks like.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So we can go and look over here. So this is what an EEG looks like. So from that, the signals that are going on in your head are being recorded and then sent through here, and it kind of just gives you a glimpse of like what a quantified look at an EEG is.
Cool. I think I've heard of an EEG before.
Yeah.
So basically what it's doing is taking the electrical signals from inside your brain and amplifying them onto a screen. I know it can be really important for diagnosing people with epilepsy, sleep disorders, and memory problems. So I think this is a really cool way of thinking about how the electrical components in your brain can be used to diagnose different diseases.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect.
So you think that you have a good idea of what amplifiers are?
I think so, but I think maybe it would be a good idea to do a quick recap of everything we've gone over today.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, Connor, after everything we've tried to help you with, can you just tell me what an amplifier is?
I think I can, yeah. So an amplifier is basically a device that is going to increase the electrical output from a smaller electrical input. So one of the examples we went over today was a car stereo.
Right. So just a little summary. Just to help you on your test.
Perfect. Thank
Okay,
you.
and so like we just said, the stereo is an example of an amplifier, and so is a speaker. But now how does this relate to biology?
So I think Chloe gave me a really great example that the EEG is an example of a device that relates amplifiers and biology, and it's actually called a bioamplifier.
Exactly. But
Okay.
now let's think of it at the bare bones. How does this signal, what does it look like when it's an input still? Because this is the output. What's the input?
So if we think about the nervous system in general, the nervous system is pretty much a giant electrical circuit, right? Where the bare bones are the neurons, which have their dendrites, the soma, and then their axons. And basically what happens is that in order to communicate within our body, we send these electrical signals down neurons in order to communicate with other neurons and then other systems within the body. Now, from an electrical standpoint, that's quantified when we think about action potentials, and then when we're seeing the image on the EEG, what they're doing is amplifying these electrical signals that are occurring in the neurons and then in larger neuronal networks and so on and so forth.
Exactly. I think you've got it now, so I wish you best of luck on your test.
Thank you so much for your help.